Very few people know that Russia is a country surrounded by terrorism on a very dirty level. Even within its own country, terrorism used to be at a very dirty level. Though that's not the case today. On India's border, we have Pakistan and beyond that, Afghanistan. With Pakistan, it seems like terrorism is flourishing quite well, right? But Russia is a country that shares border with 5 Muslim countries. Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, 5 such countries. Have you ever thought about why there is no terrorism in these countries, which are next to Afghanistan and Pakistan? Or why we never hear about terrorist activities there? In fact, some of these countries are even secular. So how did Islamic radical groups are not reach or flourish there? If there is one reason for that, it's only one, and that is Vladimir Putin. In 1991, Russia didn't exist as it does now. There used to be a Soviet Union. Soviet wasn't a country, it was the Soviet Union, a union of countries around 15 to 16 in total, and Russia was its main part, holding about 75% of the area. But in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed due to significant rivalry with the USA. At the time of collapse, Vladimir Putin was an officer in the KGB. You can think of the KGB as the Soviet Union's defense ministry. After collapse, Putin felt delusional and left the agency. He moved to St. Petersburg, becoming deputy mayor. There he learned politics and built ties with oligarchs, a wealthy industrialist controlling media, oil, and metals who essentially ran Russia's post-collapse. What are oligarchs? Business icons. You can think of them as an industrialist. Like in India, we have Tata. Tata runs everything. Tata Water, Tata Electricity, Tata everything. So these were the kinds of oligarchs. When the Soviet Union broke, different things started happening in all these countries. There is a joke that Russia was being run by just 7 bankers. Bankers here means 7 industrialists or oligarchs. Simple logic, whoever controlled media, metals, iron or oil, they were the richest. They started running the country however they wanted. Even the politicians were kind of their puppets. Putin started forming connection with them. Meanwhile, Chechnya, one of Russia's Muslim majority territories, sought independence after the Soviet hand lifted. Its Soviet-appointed leader allied with Al-Qaeda, led by Leban al-Khattab, a close association of Osama bin Laden. They attacked Russian forces and Russia initially lost control of Chechnya. At the same time, the oligarchs suggested to Boris Yeltsin that this guy, you make him prime minister now, give him power. This guy is extremely capable and his skills are exceptional. He can control the whole situation. Boris Yeltsin announced that Vladimir Putin is now the prime minister and that he would be the next president, meaning he will take my position. As soon as that happened, Putin, after setting up his own system behind the scenes, power, you could say, landed in Putin's hands. Although at that time in Russia, the president had the actual power. The prime minister didn't really have much, but Putin took control at that point. At the same time, Chechenya's motivation grew. The Chechen forces, these were people connected with Al-Qaeda and the way they recruited. Now, if you are defeating Russian forces, you need solid recruitment. How could you defeat such a big country and its army? So their recruitment used to be from everywhere, from the Arab world, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, all over. They ran jihadi movements and actively pushed them. You can understand the level of intensity this had. Imagine the level of terrorism today if Vladimir Putin hadn't existed. They captured Russian territory, that's huge. Actually, they didn't just stop there. They moved out of Chechnya and attacked Dagestan. Dagestan was another Russian territory with Muslim majority. Their purpose was to control 6 territories inside Russia that had a Muslim majority. When the attack on Dagestan happened, Vladimir Putin had gotten hold of power. He gave full freedom to the Russian forces and first thing, at that time the Russian politicians didn't step on the ground. They were scared after the Soviet Union collapsed. Vladimir Putin stepped on the ground. He kept traveling constantly. He visited all the command centers. He motivated the soldiers and the Russian forces fought brilliantly in Dagestan. They pushed the Chechen radical group back, go back Chechnya. Russia managed to regain control over Dagestan. Once all that happened, the Chechen radical group couldn't take control over Dagestan. Then come the bomb blast. Many bomb blasts. Some happened in the Chechen-Dagestan border areas, some happened inside Russia, main cities like Moscow and in civilian areas. So the Russian people's trust were shattered. They were broken. Like, what are we even doing here? Everything was already corrupt. Businessmen were running government. After that come these terrorist attacks. At that time, Putin appeared publicly and clearly said in the media, now all these terrorists, we will chase and kill them. If they are in the bathroom, I'll kill them. If they are in the toilet, I'll kill them. We'll chase them on the streets and kill them. But kill them. We'll eliminate them all. It is believed that Putin, either in a press conference or in a meeting with soldiers, said, "Forgiving terrorists, that's in God's hand. But sending them to God, that's my job." After saying this, what Putin did, you can't even imagine. Or maybe you can. But the situation became extremely critical. One thing you must know is the Soviet Union wasn't weak. Russia wasn't weak. It had just become weak due to internal conflicts. It used to directly challenge the USA. It had more nuclear weapons than the USA. Putin used all his bombing planes, missile system, everything, and pretty much flattened Chechnya. Grozny, the capital of Chechnya at that time, it was called the most destroyed city on earth. That much destruction happened. So many attacks, bombs, and missiles were used. Whether they were Al-Qaeda members or local leaders, whether they survived or not, didn't matter. Nothing was left. Buildings were flattened. Everything turned into rubble. After that, Russian forces entered and took complete control of Chechnya once and for all. But Vladimir Putin was very smart. He didn't force the people of Chechnya to follow Russian rule. A separate constitution was created there. He chose one of their own leaders and made him the president of Chechnya, someone who was pro-Russia. Even today, that same scenario continues. Chechnya is totally under Russian control, but Russia doesn't interfere much in their internal conflicts. They only get involved in foreign relations. After doing all this, Putin started stabilizing the 5 neighboring countries. How do you stabilize countries? Wherever there was peace, but also chances of potential trouble. Because the way Al-Qaeda people had reached there, what do you think their final purpose was? It was clearly to take control over those 6 Muslim majority territories inside Russia. And imagine what they wouldn't try to enter Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan. That's foolish. They would have caused instability, tried to activate Sharia law and such things. These secular countries wouldn't have remained secular. The Chechen groups would have definitely created instability. Wherever there was some stability, Putin signed CSTO agreements. Means if anyone attacks the leader of these countries, it will be considered an attack on Russia. And then what Russia would do, that was already shown in Chechnya. That was stopped. In those places, Russia set up air bases, deployed military and took control. Meaning in those 5 countries, no proper radical groups could rise again. Whoever was there, pro-Russian leaders were placed and permanent stability was ensured, at least as of today. That was about Russia's borders and terrorism, but internal Russia still needed fixing. So what did Putin do? He called a meeting of the oligarchs, the same oligarchs who had supported and raised Putin to power. In the meeting, he declared clearly, "You have money, enjoy it, live a luxurious life. But if you show up in politics or media, I will ruin you in ways you can't even imagine." He gave a direct warning, "I'll destroy you so bad you won't even be able to think about it." These were the same oligarchs who had helped Putin rise, but Putin wasn't loyal to anyone. He was loyal only to Russia or to his ideology. Everything else was just a methodology for him. The oligarchs who didn't like these and tried to oppose him, either they were never seen again or they ran away from the country. Those who supported Putin and stayed in his favor, they became ultra rich. The owner of Chechnya football club, he was one of those oligarchs who supported the Putin back then. And now there is one conclusive point. Something strange, something that can be debated upon, and I will not give my opinion on it at all. What happened was that at the time when Putin got a reason to bomb Chechnya, there were a lot of blasts at the time, in which civilians were targeted, including blasts in apartments in Moscow and elsewhere. So after 4 blasts, when the 5th bomb was found in people by a parking lot, it was the basement parking of an apartment. When people saw the bomb, they called the police and had it defused somehow. Then the Russia security agency reached there and said, "No, this is not a bomb. This is a part of our training program. We were conducting a training." This raised many questions. If it's a training, then how can you just leave such a bomb lying around? Many questions came up. Were the bomb blasts really done by Chechen terror groups? Or maybe someone else had a hand in it, possibly even Putin. However, the blast in Dagestan and the border areas, there is very little chance that anyone else could be involved in those. Those were definitely carried out by terror groups, but the attacks in the main cities, who did those? Were they really done by terror groups? And if not, then who did them? These questions remain even today. No one knows. But this is the story of how Putin completely wiped out terrorism from Russia. Completely might be an exaggeration. Well, maybe we shouldn't say completely. But you can see that in Russia and the neighboring countries, Muslim majority countries, today they are secular and their tourism is fairly well developed. If you look at Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and even in Russia, there are some terror attacks, but not at the scale they used to be or the scale at which there were chances. As for the whole bomb story, you can share your opinion in the comments. I will not give any opinion on it.